In 1955, more than half of American families owned a television set. And when those sets broke, there was a neighborhood shop on nearly every main street in the country ready to fix them. These small repair businesses saved American households real money for decades. That was 1955. Today, the average TV repair costs $300, and a brand new television costs about the same. The repair shops are mostly gone, and the reason why is not what you would expect. 30 years before that golden age, television was an experiment most people could not afford. During the 1930s, the average American worker earned about $1,300 a year. A basic 12-inch television set sold for $445. Adjusted for inflation, that single purchase would cost more than $10,000 today. Families who bought a television were not buying an appliance. They were buying something closer to a car. That kind of investment changed how people thought about the machine sitting in their living room. When a $10,000 asset stopped working, you did not throw it away. You called someone who could fix it. After World War II ended in 1945, the television industry took off. American factories pivoted from military production back to consumer goods, and the radio repair shops already embedded in local communities expanded into television sales and service. Small, family-run businesses in towns like Napa, California, and Leesburg, Florida, became the front line of a massive new service economy. Manufacturers like RCA and Zenith held annual training events teaching independent technicians how to diagnose the circuitry inside each year's new models. The repairman became a neighborhood figure, arriving at front doors with a heavy caddy full of replacement tubes and specialized tools. For many families, watching him work inside the glowing cabinet was a kind of event in itself. For a while, things actually seemed fine. The shops were busy, the manufacturers were supportive, and the television set was treated like something worth taking care of. That didn't last. The reason those repair shops stayed so busy was simple. Early televisions were fragile machines. A standard set in the 1950s contained dozens of vacuum tubes, and each one could burn out after a few thousand hours, similar to a light bulb. The heat those tubes generated also degraded surrounding components like capacitors and resistors, creating a cycle of recurring failures. When color broadcasting arrived in 1953, complexity increased dramatically. Color sets used 3 separate electron guns and a shadow mask containing roughly 200,000 precision-machined holes to direct the electron beams onto the correct phosphor dots. Repairing those sets required knowledge of high-voltage systems, color calibration, and multi-stage circuitry. This was not a job for the average homeowner. What comes next is the part that still does not make sense to a lot of people. Because the TV repair industry did not die from a single blow. It was hit from every direction at once. The first shift was the transistor. Discovered in 1947 and adopted widely through the 60s and 70s, transistors were smaller, cooler, and far more reliable than vacuum tubes. They did not burn out. That single improvement eliminated the most common reason Americans called a repairman. Then manufacturers started soldering components directly to circuit boards instead of placing them in replaceable sockets. The grocery store tube tester, a fixture of mid-century American life where a homeowner could walk in, test their own tubes, and buy a replacement on the spot, disappeared entirely by the mid-1970s. The same innovation that made televisions better made them harder to fix. The second hit came from overseas. Through the 70s and the 80s, Japanese and East Asian manufacturers entered the American market aggressively, often without the regional parts networks or technician training programs that domestic companies like RCA and Zenith had maintained for decades. As those American brands struggled to compete and eventually closed, the supply chain that had kept thousands of small shops running dried up with them. Pay attention to this next detail because it explains everything about why the repair model collapsed completely. Since 1950, television prices have deflated at an average rate of roughly 6.5% per year. A 20-inch color television that cost $500 in 1985, about $1,200 in today's money, can now be outperformed by a larger set selling for under $150. The cost per square inch of screen dropped from about $110 in the 1950s to less than $2 today. That is the kind of number that makes the entire concept of repair economically irrational. Then came the final push. In 2009, the United States government mandated the switch from analog to digital broadcasting. Millions of older televisions, the very sets that repair shops still serviced, could not receive a signal without a converter box. For many households, that was the moment they stopped repairing and started replacing. It wasn't a suggestion, it was a deadline. For the shops that had held on through transistors, through foreign competition, and through falling prices, the digital transition was the last door closing. Today, the average professional television repair costs around $300. A new 40-inch smart TV can be purchased for about the same price. The industry follows what technicians call the 50% rule. If the repair bill exceeds half the cost of a new set, replace it. With the labor rates between $60 and $125 per hour before parts are even ordered, that threshold is crossed almost every time. The consumer electronics repair industry still exists under its own federal classification, generating an estimated $21 billion in revenue. Growth is negative. The typical shop employs fewer than 5 people. The technicians who remain describe their work not as component-level repair, but as board swapping, pulling out a failed circuit board and dropping in a replacement module. The television repair shop did not vanish because Americans stopped caring about their belongings. It vanished because the economics flipped. When the hardware was expensive and the labor was cheap, repair made sense. When the hardware became disposable and the labor became expensive, the math stopped working. That shift did not just close a few shops. It erased an entire class of skilled tradespeople. The informal apprenticeship system that trained the next generation of electrical engineers, and a way of thinking about ownership that once defined how American families related to the things they bought. That pattern, where falling prices quietly eliminate the people who know how to fix things, is repeating itself right now across almost every product Americans own.